country did we let join NATO recently from the Scandinavian countries? Who was it?
The Netherlands, maybe?
Because it says Russian intrusion, Norwegians confronted on their own land. So Russia's pushing around over there, huh? Because I know we just allowed two countries from up there into NATO. I know I think one was Switzerland or somewhere.
Finland. Finland joined April 4th, 2023.
There was one other one besides. I think it joined last year or something. But it's look, don't go try to invade Norway, Russia. We'll have to get involved in that. Well, you won't even leave it as an option.
Do you think Putin and Xi had a setup? Well, Putin just go and start bombing all this shit, and then when America is like really low and has nothing to defend Taiwan, then China can get into Taiwan.
We're never letting China in Taiwan.
Ooh, Northern Macedonia in 2020 and Finland in 2023.
Yeah, unless for some reason, I don't know why, we would just, we've already said 100 times we would defend Thailand all out. Israel hits Gaza from air around the sea with massive explosions. It's
Come on, Jay, relax, man. You just like, come on, you're being a Debbie Downer today, buddy. Come on, cheer up.
Debbie Downer. Oh man, I still want to see these polls that have Joe Biden at 56% approval rating. Wars will do that for you, but I can't. This ain't a war for us.
He may have got some numbers go up due to the fact he dropped some troops in Israel, but
Biden hits back at Iranian groups after 20 attacks.
Ooh, what did he have to say?
Israeli hits. I think we went. That's what we went and blew up them two Libya things about. U.S. conducts airstrikes in Syria after Iranian-backed attacks on U.S. troops.
Yeah, they attacked our army bases over there.
I mean, dragging us in. I know they always say it brings another chair to the table, but not in this case. We're looking for a reason. Look, okay, people in the Middle East. I know we have a big audience. I even know we have a big audience on Iran. We have people listening all over the Middle East. So, a dummy piece of advice: we have a madman for a president right now. Okay, he don't actually know what the red button does, so he could just accidentally blow your asses up.
And unless he's sitting on the toilet, I guarantee you, the man probably doesn't know what room he's in.
Yeah, so you're playing with your own lives, because if he thinks this can get him reelected, he's going to wipe all of y'all out. Yeah, he'll leave like Dubai and Egypt, and he'll leave
the countries that we get money from, not give money to. We will keep this,
and Saudi and Israel will get to stay. All the rest of y'all will die. I mean, is that what you're after here?
Isn't it funny that Milley retired a month ago? All of a sudden, this shit happens.
What was that, Carol? I'm just telling you, people, you got to be careful here. You messing with a madman. No, with Trump, it's different. Trump would have just been, this shit wouldn't be going on with Trump.
Yeah, it wouldn't have started in the first place.
Because immediately the day this happened, Trump would have deployed stuff all over, blew all kind of shit up, and said, really, do y'all really want to go to war? There would have been no more Hamas. Every place we knew they existed, we would have attacked in one day. Yes, because we're not going to put up with it. We consider it an attack on us. Once you took...
a guaranteed thing is our intelligence community knows exactly where they all are, knows exactly who their members are, probably knows more about that group than the Israelis do, even though the Israelis are closer. And they also have a very good spy community as we do. But we know something. We wouldn't have dropped these advisors, these troops in there without knowing something's coming down. Something really shitty is coming down the pike.
Yeah, that's the problem for all of these people. Once you attacked America, you're just asking to die. China is not going to come save you. Russia is not going to come save you.
They won't get involved.
Yes, because if they do, that means we can get involved in the Ukraine. So they're not.
If we went back into Afghanistan, maybe Russia would say something about that. But everywhere else, they probably couldn't give two craps.
No, Russia don't care what happens to any of these countries. But
They,
Iran, oh, well, Iran does give them
they do
weapons.
still have some still strong ties to Afghanistan, even though that we kind of had conflict with them over the 80s about that, but they still have claims to it.
Well, look, people, you know, uh, I just know it could get really bad over there really fast. And
It seems like it's heading in that direction.
I mean, and
Maybe,
we don't live over there.
Maybe Joe, we can be lucky. We can pray for the best. Maybe the fact that we dropped these troops in Israel will calm things down in the next day or two. But
Possibility.
they just launched a bunch of rockets over Gaza just a few hours ago. It doesn't seem to have any effect yet.
Oh, here we go. An urgent warning: U.S. needs to be prepared to fight Russia and China simultaneously.
Well, that's
When?
what I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. If it does happen, it's
unless this stuff in Gaza and Hamas and Israel sparks off the Third World War. Whatever's going on down there, China has no dog in the fight either. I mean, neither do we. Other than the fact that we're very close allies to Israel, we don't have a dog in this fight. We weren't attacked. Americans weren't originally sought out. Americans, yes, were captured, probably inadvertently because we have a lot of tourists over there. But we have no dog in the fight, and we really, like Joe said, shouldn't be over there.
No, we shouldn't. No.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, James.
What do you mean, peeps? No. We're not. If the U.S. goes and starts putting really ground troops in, we go drop 30,000, 50,000, we start pulling troops out of Germany, this shit's coming.
Yeah, but look at it from a reporter's point of view, Joe. You've got our closest allies, one of our only ally in that area, actually, our very closest friend in NATO, whom we have been giving selling, at a good rate to our friends, our equipment, military equipment, guns, ammo, flight suits, all kinds of stuff for their Army, Air Force, and Navy. Now think about that. Why would we have to send in advisors to our best friends in NATO who have been using our equipment for what, 40 years?
A long time. Yeah, a long time.
Unless it's something new. Unless we're giving them F-22 Raptors or some kind of new, space-based missile launch weapon. They don't need our advisors. They need troops. They need warm bodies. They need cannon fodder.
Just send in a platoon of Marines and let them go out.
Yeah, that's what I was told. They would send in a whole platoon of Marines. That's what I was told on at least that's what Jeff was under the impression that they had sent in was a flock of Marines, but who knows how many.
It's at the point where if the U.S. just right now just needs to stay out of it. I mean, they just need to stay out
I
of
agree.
it.
We've got our finger in too many pies as it is.
We're spread out. We've given weapons to everybody. We haven't replenished our weapon supplies. We've really pushed the boundaries.
Fewer and further between.
Well, we still have NATO, which has grown. So NATO's pretty powerful in itself.
So if Hamas decided to attack, let's say, New Jersey, what is NATO going to do for us?
Well, we don't need NATO for that.
By the time NATO mobilizes to assist us in a Hamas New Jersey war, $5 says, "Hey, Hamas is lost already." In like the opening hours, and then most of the Americans in the area, I'd drive up there. It's only 4 hours for me to get to New Jersey. I have guns. I'll drive there. I'll shoot some people myself. They're not. What would and how fast could NATO do? Think what? Nothing.
You know how many how many deer hunters we got up in here?
Millions.
No,
not millions. There's a lot.
We got a lot.
It's a huge state sport. 15 miles from me is an Orvis Hill Country shooting range. They have sporting clays, 5 clay target stations. They also have fields that they fill with birds that you can take your corporate guys for your Christmas business party and go out and shoot a bunch of birds. It's very, very cool. Yay. So yes, we have a lot of hunters. We have a lot of guns in the state.
Same way in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Russia is declaring war on Elon.
Oh, good. What do they have to say to Elon? Let's hear this.
They said if Elon, what's his name, Brzezinski, said if Elon keeps helping the Ukrainians with the satellites, they're going to shoot him down. Man, look, Russia. I would not start shooting at his satellites. He might start crashing into your big satellites up there. Y'all
The
forget he's
dude
got
has
like 7,000, 8,000 up there. Now his goal is to have 42,000 satellites up there. So if I was y'all, I'd leave him alone because he already said if you try to shoot a continental ballistic missile, he just ram one of his satellites into it. So what's going to happen is you're going to shoot down 8 or 9 of his satellites, and he's going to go find all your strategic satellites in space and knock their asses out into deep space. Then what the hell are you going to do? I don't. This is
here's
not
something
the
else to
old
chew on.
ways.
Here's something else to chew on, Joe. He's got billions of dollars of money, lots of time on his hands, and thousands of employees and resources. So he gets the news pretty quick about stuff A, B, and C. He's got the money, time, and resources, and just the I don't give a crap attitude to go ahead and do it.
And he will do.
So I can guarantee whatever Elon has promised to do to Russia, if Russia does certain things, I guarantee you he's going to do it and he will succeed.
He's not going to play around. He already told Russia this. Russia said, well, there's nothing you could do to stop nuclear bombs. And he said, yeah, I could just run my satellites into them and knock your ballistic missiles into space or your warheads into space. He said, he said, technically y'all not a threat to us anymore because he's got more satellites than Russia has missiles. And like he told Russia, I can build satellites much faster than you can build missiles.
Yeah.
Plus, his missile system, I mean, Elon's missile is the best in the world by anybody's standards, including our own. I mean, this guy takes off, he lands, he go wreak havoc on Russia. Russia just needs he can start his own little damn war.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why, but I just feel like nothing's really going to happen, dude. I think it's just nothing's going to happen.
No, all we can do is
I agree. I feel the same way, but it is still not good news. It's not pleasant to hear that we're sending people over there. Not pleasant to hear that we're getting involved in another conflict. But the fact of the matter is that some of the things that have been going on over there are fairly brutal. I mean, they're worse than if some of the things that we've heard about that are coming out of the Hamas-Israel conflict were to be put in a horror movie, that horror movie would be rated X for the amount of violence that's in it, not for sex, but for the violence. And if we're at least smart, we got to be prepared. So does that mean sending troops on the ground according to Biden? I guess it does. But if we didn't prepare for some huge thing coming down the road, and then it does, whose fault is that? Is that our fault? Is that Israel's fault? Is that NATO's fault? Someone needs to at least rally behind someone being attacked out of the clear blue sky and having their citizens lit on fire and caught and captured for hostage and money. This is not a good thing, period.
See, that's the other thing. Is we start getting hostages. I don't know, man. It makes me nervous. It just makes me nervous thinking that we could, because people forget about the Iran hostage affair with Jimmy Carter. We're lucky we didn't end up in World War III over that.
Was it Mossad that came in and got all those hostages off that airplane, Joe?
I don't actually remember, to be honest with you. So long
I believe it was Mossad. If you're talking about that, a long time ago in the 70s.
Yeah, they wrote a movie. They did a movie about it.
Yeah, there's several movies have been done about it. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see if it'll let me bring this up. Why in the hell stop that? Cancel. Well, I'll tell you what, you got to go find out all kind of interesting stuff to this. Jimmy, it makes me a little nervous, dude. I mean, in the end, if somebody kills a bunch of Americans, we're going to get pissed. It's going to be an outrage, and we're going to have to do something about it, just like at the Twin Towers, just like in other times this has happened. I'm just saying, man, if we've got troops on the ground and somebody drives a truck in and kills 100, 200, 300 Americans, we're going to lose our freaking mind. Plus, they already got hostages they haven't released, which is already pissing people off.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner or later, Americans are going to get outraged over the hostages. It's just a matter of time. So it's something that needs to be dealt with. And now we're over there blowing up Syrian bases. And we're just using this as an excuse to blow their bases up.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, yeah, maybe they do need to be blown up, but it's,
What about Turkey, Joe?
What about Turkey? That's a big thing in the area. Nobody knows what
Yeah.
Turkey's
I
going
know
to go.
in Turkey, they were attacking army bases over there.
Yeah, well, Turkey hates a lot of stuff over there, and Syria
Yeah.
is one of them. So,
Look, I mean, look at where they are. They're right in the middle of all the conflict. I mean, they're right between Russia and Ukraine. They're right between Israel and Hamas. You know, the next major conflict's going to land on their front door. So, I mean, I'd be kind of pissed and paranoid too.
yeah, they've got some issues they got to worry about over there. It's unfortunately, but then Egan, he's got his own way of thinking, his own way of doing things. He got in trouble with us at first because something to do. He's making a trade with Russia for some missile defense system, but he's a NATO country and he buys from America. So America goes like, "Well, wait a minute now, you can't be bringing Russian technology and it's not compatible with everybody else's." So then it became a big stink, and then they didn't want to let the new two Scandinavian countries in for whatever reason they didn't want to. It just kept becoming more and more of a pain in the ass. And Turkey's always been kind of on the edge. I was actually surprised when they let Turkey into NATO. Because Turkey, I wouldn't consider Turkey our best friend. And I don't trust them as far as I can throw
They were former
at.
Warsaw Pact, weren't they?
Yeah, I thought they were. I thought they were not friendly to Americans back in the day, and then all of a sudden now they are. But anyway, let's put this up right quick and hit the magic play button. Hit the magic.
To the 20 rocket and drone attacks against our troops in Iraq and Syria in just the past 10 days. And late last night, the Pentagon says it did just that, bombing 2 military sites in eastern Syria used by Iranian-backed militias.
The fighting between the U.S. and Iran comes as massive explosions have rocked Gaza all morning, with our Fox News team on the ground reporting it's the heaviest fighting they have seen in this violent 3-week war.
Fox team coverage from across the globe over the next 2 hours and the breaking news from the war in the Middle East. We are going to start with Trey Yingst live in southern Israel. Shabbat started just a few hours ago, Trey. Yet you've seen bombardment all day. What's the latest from there?
Yeah, John, good afternoon. The sun went down a few hours ago, and the Israelis have been ramping up airstrikes all along the Gaza Strip. The past several hours, we've seen Israel hitting the northern part of Gaza from the air, the ground, and the sea. Some massive explosions behind us, shaking the entire ground. Still the roar of Israeli fighter jets overhead. There was a lot of drone activity here along the border earlier. The Israelis picking out their next target along the Gaza Strip. We do expect this fire and these strikes to continue tonight and throughout the night. Over the past 48 hours, the Israelis have conducted a number of raids inside Gaza, but they have been limited ground incursions, entering, destroying Hamas and Islamic Jihad cells, and then pulling out with those troops. This is significant, though, tonight, because over the past 21 days, we've not seen any sort of bombardment like we are witnessing unfolding here in southern Israel. John?
Trey, I think we've got Sandra with us as well. Sandra?
Trey, as far as the night is concerned, you have a lot of experience watching how the activity tends to step up. Do you think this gets worse before it gets better in the next couple of hours?
It certainly could. Traditionally, the factions inside Gaza have reduced their rocket fire at night. They're trying to preserve the supply that they have. They are now firing anywhere from 200 to 400 rockets a day. But tonight we saw rockets being fired from the northern part of Gaza towards southern and central Israel. Air raid sirens sounding for hundreds of thousands of people, sending them to bomb shelters. Just yet another reminder that despite the heavy artillery bombardments and airstrikes against the Strip, the factions in Gaza maintain their ability to fire on major population centers in Israel. We've been texting with sources inside Gaza tonight, but we are getting reports in right now that connectivity for Gazans, both internet and cellular, has dropped off in a number of locations. So we're working to confirm those reports and trying to bring you more information on what the situation might be like inside Gaza in terms of getting any new information out.
Yeah, Trey, I'm just reading here, the Palestinian telecommunication company Jawal said that mobile phone service and internet in Gaza has been cut off due to heavy bombardment. Of course, it's a tried and true tactic that whenever one nation is going to invade another, that it does its best to cut off telecommunications, to disrupt communications between the enemy. Do we know if that's potentially the case? Does this potentially suggest that a ground invasion of Gaza is imminent?
Yeah, could it suggest
It's a
that?
possibility, and it's hard for us to predict the timeline for the ground offensive. We do understand, according to top military officials, this is not a matter of if, but rather when. Today, I was in Tel Aviv among a small group of journalists meeting with Israel's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and he spoke about this very issue. And I asked him also, once the Israeli forces do enter Gaza, how long will they stay there for? And he said this is not a question of weeks, but rather months. They
Oh
will be
shit!
counting in months.
Whoa.
And that really illustrates just how difficult the battle will be for Israeli forces when they do enter. These nighttime raids have provided us with an illustration of what that's going to look like. There will be D9 armored bulldozers entering first, trying to clear a path for tanks and APCs. They'll be followed by infantry troops that will have to fight block to block. There will be thousands of Hamas and Islamic Jihad fighters engaging these soldiers, ambushing them, trying to stop them in any way possible. And the Israelis understand they are up against an enemy that isn't afraid to die. This is a concerted effort by the factions in Gaza to prepare for a ground incursion. You can hear in the distance there, those airstrikes have started again. But that's part of why the Israelis are striking Gaza so hard right now. They want to soften the target and then ultimately, when the orders are given, enter on the ground.
All right, Trey Yanks live there on the ground for us. Trey, we're going to get back to you shortly as
That's
this
exactly
news
right.
continues. Thank you.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go, live from Fox News. We've always got to give to whatever host network it was.
What he said isn't untrue, and it's very scary. And probably what will happen is you'll see that now the invasion is going to happen probably in the early morning, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6, 7, 8 a.m., probably just before businesses would open in the region so that nobody's in their businesses getting hurt. If they were a terrorist group, it would happen just after those business owners had opened their businesses and they'd start the invasion. But you'll see the hours before the invasion, in the very early morning, like 2, 3, maybe even 4 a.m., you'll see a increase in rocket volleys, even though they'll probably be at night and in the dark. But again, like the report said, to soften up the areas for where the troops are going. And then as soon as the rocket volley ends, that's when the Israeli troops will enter and all hell will break loose.
Well, let me take that back to Gettysburg. For the Confederates, honestly, they did that cannon barrage before they did Pickett's charge, and they were overshooting their people over, you know what I mean? And the Confederates got their butts kicked by the Union.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So launching all those missiles into Gaza, they don't know what they're hitting.
Yeah.
You know?
No, well, I mean, if they have intelligence as good as us, they'd be pretty close. But
real quick,
but you're right.
real quick.
Your example is awesome because have you ever been to Gettysburg? I've actually been there a couple times.
Oh, dude, I've been up
The
there.
terrain is it's rough. It's all rocks all over the place. It's rough terrain. So I mean, if you're going to go fight somebody, you don't fight them in their own backyard. Like Sean, if you were to come and attack me in Rockville, Maryland, where I grew up, and try to get my house, get my money, get my food, or whatever, you wouldn't make it. I know the area. I grew up as a kid there. I know the area so well. You wouldn't make it, even with heavy intelligence. So the same thing goes to this. We just don't know the region. They don't know the region, but we have to go off of our intelligence and hope that it's accurate.
Now, back in when we was it Iraq, the beginning, did they have Navy SEALs? Like
on that plane, yeah, well, on that damn 2 helicopters we sent in.
They used the laser pointers in order to direct the missiles in.
Yeah, they used to do that too. They'd put in spotters and send them in. But we lost a whole 2 Navy SEALs teams in Iran over those hostages that they took that Iran had, and all because Jimmy Carter did a bad thing, and they didn't realize what was going to happen to those helicopters flying through the desert.
Well, there's something that makes me mad about that incident is everybody blames Carter for it. It isn't Carter's fault.
Technically, it's not. It should have been the general in charge.
What happened was he ordered the general to send in the troops to get the 400 some odd, or however many. It was probably in the 400 some odd 20 days of the hostage takeover. But he ordered them to take the helicopters and get those people out. the general who organized the extraction sent helicopters that were equipped to fly in the deep jungle, like Vietnam era helicopters, to fly through the desert. He didn't take desert equipped helicopters and send them through the desert. He sent jungle helicopters through the desert.
Blackhawks, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they were
I don't think the
Blackhawks.
Black Hawk was around
Yeah.
back then. I think they
No,
were
I think that's what it was.
UH-109s.
Black Hawk Down. I think that's what it was.
Were they Black Hawks? They might have been. I thought they
I
were
don't.
UH-109s.
I'm not
or
gonna swear
whatnot. But
about it.
in any event, he sent the wrong equipment. The equipment failed along the way. All the troops died. And if the ones that didn't die were captured and then killed. So, I mean, either way,
it was a disaster. And
it was a disaster on the general's part, but President Carter took all the backlash for it, which is what he did the right damn thing by sending those troops. It's just had it actually been successful and they got those hostages out of Iran, it would have been a whole different story. Carter would have gotten a second term, hands down, no question. And he would have been thought of as one of the, if not the best president on the planet until the next really cool thing happened, until probably somewhere in Reagan's administration where he'd be forgotten about.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I mean, all of that guaranteed Reagan issue, and Reagan said, when he was on TV, he said, if the hostages aren't released before I'm president, I'm coming to get them. And of course, the day of he won, they were released. And of course, they said they did it that way not to give any president credit. No, they were doing it because Ronald Reagan was going to come kill him, and he was one of those kind of presidents. He wasn't going to put up with that bullshit. There's some things you can't allow to go on, and dealing with terrorists is one, and that's something that both Obama and Biden did, which is illegal in this country to give money for terrorists for when they take our people, and yet we did it anyway.
We gave money to Pakistan, and they housed that Al Qaeda guy. We've given money to India. They've got terrorists from, who've attacked us in their country.
India, unfortunately, we're stuck with India because they're still a commonwealth of the Brits and an ally.
Yeah.
But India is a reluctant ally. They still like to buy shit from Russia. You'd think India'd want to learn a lesson after watching all this Russian equipment fail. Maybe they should stop being cheap asses and start buying real equipment because China is building a real army and a real navy.
Yeah.
Well,
they can buy from us. They can buy our old stuff. We got plenty of it.
Think about it, Michael. You're saying that China and India share a border, and they hate each other.
Oh, yeah.
China, India, and Pakistan share a border, and all three of them hate each other just as bad.
Yeah, they did.
Hate the Indians hate the Pakistanis, and then vice versa, all the way around. That's another unstable region.
It was in like 1920. I forgot when it was when India and Pakistan split, but it wasn't because of the countries. It was because of the religions, Hindu and Muslim. That's what caused the split. Yeah, because the two religions couldn't get along with each other. Well, the majority of Indians are Hindu. Not that some of them were Muslim. It's just the majority were Hindu. And then back then,
they also have two different languages.
And back then, when it happened, I think it was a lot of people died. A lot. Yeah. And all over the name of religion.
Split along the religious and bilingual lines. I mean, Pakistan is a group that spoke one dialect of the Indian language, and the Indians speak another one. They both have different points of view on the religion, and basically split the country in half. Otherwise, there'd be 2.5 billion people. They'd be bigger than China.
I got a good way of helping them in Israel. Throw like about 2,000 pigs into Gaza and let them run. You know what I mean?
Let them run. Shit. That
you know what?
Maybe that's where Spain should have the run of the bulls this year is in Gaza.
No, run pigs. I like Sean's idea. Grease them up, 1,000 pigs, let them run through the streets. See who they ferret out. They're good at finding shit under the dirt, So
they're good at running you over too. They don't jump over you like a horse will do. They'll just run you over. They don't have no qualms on stepping on your human self. Johnny, there's been several reports of Putin having issues. Now, this is the first time I heard about a heart attack, but there have been other reports. You got to watch. Because Pravda and the other whatever newspaper they have over there, or media company, I should say now, are not going to report anything bad about Putin. Are you crazy? You'd be without a job if you were still left alive.
Bureaus.
Yeah, you would be in prison for sure, breaking rock in Siberia. It's they're not going to talk about it. They're just not to. You mean China? Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping's different. Xi Jinping spent a lot of time in America, and I don't think he went to school here, but after he got out of school, he spent a lot of time here learning how Westerns work. That's why he has an easier time dealing with us than other leaders. Um, well, because he knows you can push Westerns so far, and they're
He
going to
knows
let
how
things
stupid
go.
we can be.
Yes, and he knows that you can push it so far, but he also knows there's a breaking point. He's seen it himself. So, you can screw with Americans and get a lot of things going, like he was lying about. Remember, they said he was going to have a $26 trillion economy. Ours was going to be 32. They were catching us fast. Trump came in and said, that's bullshit. There's no way you got that economy. You don't have the power to have that kind of economy. So Trump started pushing and pushing, pushing. We started finding out they built a lot of their buildings all around the country were empty. There was nothing in them. They weren't completed. They were just basically storage places for minerals, like copper, wire, stuff like that. So if they ever needed them in the future, they would be there. Basically storing up, buying up stuff and putting it somewhere, so they had it. But there was just no need for those buildings. Their economy's not expanding that fast. I think this year they reforecasted it like 11.5 or 11.8 trillion. Yeah, Trump hurt them bad. And the problem for China is every time China does something stupid, it costs them money. So COVID, they haven't recovered from COVID. Europe still don't have faith in shopping with them. And frankly, Europe should ban any shopping with China and use other sources. All of us should. You want to stop China as a problem in the world enemies? Just stop giving them money. It's a simple concept. Russia ain't got no money to
You
give
could
them.
also stop treating them like a problem and treat them more like a friend.
Well, we tried that. We tried that. Nixon, remember? Nixon went over there and studied everything out with him.
He made all kind of things. Being the right guy.
And we did. No, we did it. We've had all kind of great trade deals with them all. China's just communist. They can't help themselves. They steal ideas. They steal intellectual property. Their products are crappy. That's why we don't really worry about their jets or their shits, because if they're anything like the products they send the rest of the world, they're crap. They've already got in trouble for poisoning our kids, poisoning our dogs, using lead paint. They're just, plus now they want to go get them in the South China Sea and start problems with Japan and Korea and the Philippines, and everybody's just tired of it. They're like, look, stop. You're not the all-powerful nation. And what's weird about China is for 5,000 years they stayed behind their wall.
Yeah, very, very secluded.
Yes. Go back to staying
now
behind
all
your
of a
wall.
sudden they want to burst out.
You're going to die. Well, they have to, really. With 1.4 billion people, they don't have the resources.
They don't have the resources anymore to do everything in country.
They don't, and that's another thing. As we cut them off, because they had made all kind of trade deals in South America and the U.S., we have what's called the Americas Treaty. The U.S. started putting pressure on places like Venezuela and Argentina for dealing with them, and they quit. They're like, no, we don't want to risk pissing off America. They're like,
they can't get coffee, they can't get tobacco, they can't get fibers,
and then poor Russia can't get anything. Russia's to the point where it's they can't. Something the other day, I was reading an article the other day, so they got a black market cheese market there, right? So a block of cheddar, we're talking like a quarter-pound block of cheddar, $700 American to get.
Oh my God!
And they won't, and that's what they want. And they want to be paid in U.S. money, not in rubles.
A 1 pound block of cheese at the Walmart here costs like $18.
I was like,
it's huge. But think about that. They have that black market set up since during the Cold War. You remember during the 80s, when you had a chance to go, if you were able to go and visit Moscow or Russia, what were the things that Americans were bringing over there? They were filling their luggages with Levi's jeans and booze, bringing it over there. And what got through usually was the jeans. And they were trading the jeans for $1,000 sable coats, sable fur coats, and sable fur hats. Things that over here would have cost in the hundreds and thousands of dollars. You know how much a full length sable mink coat costs? I don't, but they're not cheap.
No, they're not cheap.
They're getting them for like one pair of jeans, 2 pair of jeans.
Do you know what you can get for a Zippo lighter?
$27. $27 for a pair of jeans. That was the money and the currency of the time in Russia in the 80s and 90s.
Do you know what you could get for a Zippo lighter?
Oh God, probably a case of vodka.
Good stuff. Oh God,
yeah, a case of vodka, easy.
Let's see. Although Russians is increasingly having difficulties recruiting new armed forces, Russian citizens are choosing to fight on the side of the Ukraine. This is reported by the German website. They are, what is it? The article? Russian citizens turn against Putin, must destroy Kremlin regime. So there's a big article on this. Several different
Russian citizens are going to Ukraine to fight? Is that what it said?
Yeah, and they have been for a while now. I had heard about this before.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick? What happens if the Russian people, destroy Putin and the Kremlin? What does it become?
It's up to them.
Yeah, who knows? I would imagine it would be some sort of a democracy based on our system.
Well, technically they are a democracy. Yeah, technically they are a democracy. Their problem is we're not a democracy, but they are.
They're democratic socialism is what they're trying to be, and it just isn't working.
No, it doesn't work. So, but originally when what's his name, missed a spot on his head when he did it, they went into being a democracy, and that's what they want to be. Yeah, that's actually what they want to be.
Glasnost and Perestroika. That's what started this whole spiraling down snowball into hell that we're in.
Yeah, so they wanted, and Russian people still want to be a democracy. It's just Putin got in there. So when Medvedev was in, there was some bad stuff, but Medvedev was controllable. He wanted to be, but when Putin got in, Putin's ex-KGB. He wanted old school. He wanted the Soviet Union back, which was never going to happen. Nobody was, even China didn't want the Soviet Union.
He wants the old school czars reinstated, and Medvedev was at least modernly forwardly thinking of trying to get Russia into the modern age without being, a bunch of punks.
It's no, we already talked about the them making threats on us. You're talking about you're talking about Iran. We ain't worried about Iran. Well, they might have a nuke, but we got 6,000 of them, so it's a little bit different. But it is kind of crazy that you're reading. And what got me about this article was when I first seen it, I always save them for the show later on. So when I come back, I always pop them in to do a search just to see if anything new's been added to it. Man, I mean, this came up on a dozen. It's Z News, MSN News. It's on Wikipedia. It's of course everything's on Facebook.
If it's on Wikipedia, that's fast because they're usually an encyclopedia. They're not a news.
Reuters has it, Instagram has it, Facebook has it, all kind of people have it, X has it. And these are articles that are, Reuters and all of them are pretty decent news, even though they're kind of lefty, but they're still getting the news out there. And they're reporting it, so it's not a bogus story; it's a legit story. And I'd already heard about one whole battalion of Russians going over to the Ukraine. I had picked it up. What did I do with you? There you are. I had picked it up, the story.
A battalion of Russian military or a battalion of Russian civilians?
No, a battalion of Russian military, the whole battalion, tanks, the whole army, everything went over. They
awesome.
They would drive it in. They would being deployed there, so they were just driving along with all that stuff, and I kept driving and contacted the Ukraine along the way and said, no, we want to defect, and the Ukraine took them in, split them all up, and took them in.
Wow.
And they had all kind of intelligence. It was one of the reasons they got hold of 2 generals. Like they've killed like 12 generals now.
Wow.
It's insane. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, every time somebody gets in charge, I wouldn't even want to be in charge of the Ukraine war anymore. If they don't kill you, Putin's going to kill you. I mean, it's a dangerous ass job.
I know you don't like it, but that just makes me like Zelensky that much more. I mean, if he's just, he's punking them out. He's killing their generals. And this idiot, Putin, is still trying to gain ground. He's been losing his ass the entire battle, the entire war, and he just keeps on going. It's time to pack it in, take your troops home, put a Band-Aid on it, rub some dirt on it, and shut up and go home and say no more. You lost. And he won't give up.
Iran says they are not ordering tax on America, Bloomberg. Yeah, I don't know. We wouldn't have blew your shit up if you weren't. And actually, we didn't blow you up.
Joe? I don't understand what you just said.
It says Iran says it's not ordering attacks on the U.S. So one of the reasons we attacked the bases in Syria was because Iran was funding them to help them do attacks on us. But we haven't attacked anything in Iran. We haven't blown up anything in Iran yet.
This was in Syria.
This was in
Syria.
Their
base.
But Iran is saying they're not ordering the attacks because
So
U.S. is
what? They're
saying they
supporting
are.
it. Happening
Yeah,
from
so,
one of their bases. We attack those bases for a reason, right?
this guy here, you can see the worry in his face. He's thinking, shit. Did we say the wrong thing? Did we just get America involved in this war? That's what he's thinking. 4 Social Security shakeups from Biden that could impact your wallet by 2024. Oh God, I hate you, Biden.
What did he do? 'Cause that's
I've
my
never
money
hated
too.
I've never hated an American president before, but I think he's fast getting them on this. U.S. Chinese fighter jets risk collision with B-50. Oh,
I
U.S.
read
says,
about that. I did read something like that.
Chinese jets, huh?
Where do we have a B-52 flying? Over to Korea?
We've been flying B-52s around a lot lately. I think
Well, I
we've
know,
been
but where were
doing.
they flying? Were they
Yeah.
over Korea or
There
what?
were 2 China jets, and then our F-22s came up like right next to them, and they bailed.
Yeah, but we had that's what people don't realize. So we started, even with Iranian drones now, we actually fly fighters alongside them. So, but there's never a bomber going to be in the sky without a fighter escort.
Yeah, without like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, I mean our enemies got to know that. I mean, unless they think they just got lucky or something.
And the B-52 isn't completely, defenseless.
No,
It does
it's
have
not
guns on it,
defenseless.
doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it's got guns. It's got all kind of other kind of bullshit. Electronics.
Yeah,
Got some kind of EMP thing. It's got shielding. I mean,
Yeah, it's got chaff. It's probably got some. It may even have some decoys they can send out.
No, it does. It's got those heater ones. So if something missiles being
Yeah,
fired,
yeah, heated flares.
Let's see. They're definitely not defenseless, but they're usually going to have some type of fighter escort nearby.
At least a squadron, if not 2. I mean, because that's B-52 is like a $4 or $5 billion plane.
Yeah, we don't just let them fly around by themselves. So, fighter. That's what fighters are designed for. To be originally, all fighters were designed to be escorts for our bombers. We just learned that we could use them for other things.
Yeah.
We were like, wow, you know what? This we can use these planes for other things. We don't just need to use them as fighters. We can put missiles on them and shit.
Airstrip. We can strafe
bombers on them. Yeah, I mean they just
put bombs on them. We put torpedoes on them. They probably would have done this in World War II if sonar had been around, but we mostly, for the most part, dropped them off for our Navy helos. But they could have dropped, sonar buoys to like find ships underwater. All kinds. The platform of the airplane is one of the best military platforms, period, you can think of.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let's put this on. I don't think there's any audio with this, but we're going to put it on. See, maybe there is. Nope, there isn't. Okay, there's a fighter jet.
That's an F-22.
No, they're saying that's a fighter jet, Chinese fighter jet.
That's a Chinese fighter. It looks exactly like the F-22.
Well, yeah,
it's an F-22, Joe.
Is it? Okay, because
that's an F-22, Joe.
It said
or it's a dead-on copy.
It's saying it's the Chinese fighter jet. Read the bottom down there.
It looks exact. It looks, the silhouette is identical.
Yeah, it's actually bigger than an F-22.
Instead of the F-22, the one in the sky. The silhouette was virtually identical.
Now here, just read. You can read it as you go through the place. Okay, wait. Where did it go?
Retired Master Sergeant Reed has a leak and needs to replace his soggy sofa.
Yes, sir. So this is the Chinese fighter jet right there. He's flying up close up to the side of us. He's got his windbreak on too. Look how close he got.
Now where's our 22 at?
Not even around, apparently. Look how well we can see inside of his plane. Jesus Christ. And I guarantee you they buffed this up before they released it to the public.
Yeah, but still, that looks almost identical. I mean, maybe it's a kit bash, maybe because it looks like a hybrid between the F-18 because it's got straight fins instead of angled fins in the back. And then
I remember when
it doesn't have the vector thrust, but it's very, very close. I mean, it's very slim.
Yeah, I remember when the plane came out originally, because it was supposed to be stealth and it was supposed to be this and supposed to be that. Well, first off, the original engines they put in it left smoke plumes for like miles, so it was ridiculous. You could see it. Plus, the smoke was giving off when the radar was hitting it. So, It was easy to find.
Yeah, weather radar would pick it up. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was easy for them to find it, and then they've added new engines and all too. But it's not a comparison. It looks though, but think about it. The Russian jets look a lot like ours, and matter of fact, the Soyuz and most of them look like Tomcats or Hawks or something like that. F-18s.
Yeah, the Soyuz line looks very American, but the other ones they have, what's the other bigger named ones they use? Sikorsky's are their helicopters.
Yes.
Their Sikorsky helicopter, the angles on their cockpits looks like we took from them and used it on our Blackhawks. Their Sukhov brand planes look like our F-18, F-14s, and F-15s. And then the MiGs, it's the MiG brand. Those are the ones that look like the F-18, F-18 and F-19, F-117s. They look like they copied our F-104 starfighters. I mean, name a plane that we made throughout history. They made an identical copy of it.
They no, Jack. FA-18 is a fighter attack craft. That's what the A stands for. Yeah. FA-8. Yeah, that's just standard. That's the A means attack.
And they replaced the A-7 Corsairs.
Yeah. They and also the Tomcats eventually they replaced. 3 hostile drone attacks on Russian nuclear power plant. Oh shit.
What?
Yeah, somebody's getting hot.
Where? What city?
I don't know. I'm gonna go back and check it in a minute. I love when they put these things up. Who's got the strongest military? And you're always wondering who, right? No, I don't never actually wonder who. At least not right now. I don't. Oh no, we got a lot of cool weapons coming out over the next couple of years. Let's see if we can find out what cities these were attacking. 3 hostile drone attacks on Russian nuclear power plants. This is by Z News. According to Russian reports, Ukrainians apparently tried to attack a nuclear power plant in cross-border region of Russia using drones.
The Ukrainians did that.
I don't think the Ukrainians are trying to blow up a nuclear power plant.
No.
That would cost them support.
I don't think Zelensky would be that stupid.
No. Besides, they have Chernobyl and they have another plant. They actually have an active working plant in the Ukraine. So I don't know why they would do that. Well, it's one thing if they're trying to knock out the power plant, but if they're getting around the reactor, which could cause a nuclear blast, the whole world's going to turn against their ass. And
but the question is, how many Russian troops are near that nuclear power plant, and is that power plant, providing electrical power to those troops attacking Ukraine? If it is, then in my opinion, it's a target. I wouldn't attack it. I don't think Zelensky would, but it makes it a viable target if it's providing energy and resources to the Russian attack forces.
Operators of the facility announced that on Thursday evening, an attack by 3 hostile drones took place on the Krust nuclear power plant, but without any impact on the operation of the plant. The Russian military defense confirmed the incident, but did not specifically mention that the attack targeted the nuclear power plant, as reported by the German news. So, see, it might have just been after the turbines. Yeah, you can blow up the turbines on a nuclear power plant without blowing up the nuclear power plant. Russia successfully delivers massive retaliatory nuclear strike by land, sea, and air. What is this? Oh, this is some bullshit news. Okay. Well, I think we know if Russia was dropping nukes on our heads right now, I think it would not be a fun thing. Russia successfully delivers mad. No, Russia, don't even. See, that's the problem. Their own news is blowing their asses up. Don't realize they're going to get themselves killed. I think Putin knows. Putin is using a new method distance from everybody. Wow, look at his table he's got. Everybody sitting. Man, nobody getting nowhere around him. He was doing it last year when COVID went on. It got worse since then. Wow. Well, Putin, if you're sick, I don't blame you, dude. Israel unleashes airstrikes, unprecedented scale across Gaza.
How is it unprecedented? In what way?
I guess the amount of shit, they're bombing.
Is it though? I mean, wasn't the 7th-day war just as vicious? I mean, I remember videos of that when, rockets and stuff flying across for 7 days straight or whatever. That was pretty violent.
Oh,
It's
look,
over quickly, but
we got a new Su-27.
what's that? A Russian plane?
I guess. I always get confused because the Swedes and them, they got jets and they name them kind of close to like the Russians do. Because they had something close to Laskoyski and they got all kind of weird. This just looks like a museum of some kind with all kind of jets and planes in it that most of I don't recognize. That's very weird. It must be planes from different countries. Denise, no, we only got a few minutes. Why? What do you got? What do you mean? Okay. First off, I don't know why Russia would just want to outright attack the United States. It would first off, it would do a lot of damage to their own country. We share trade winds. We share more trade winds with China, though. So nuking the U.S. is the same as nuking China. I don't know how Xi Jinping's going to feel about that. Yeah, because she's not stupid. He knows if someone nukes America, he just nukes his own country. That's why he can't nuke us. Nuking us is nuking yourself. Yeah, it just oh. What do you mean you don't believe that? Okay, how old are you? No, really, I don't get mad at me. How old are you? You're over 30. You don't remember the red dust from China all over America for like 3 years because it had gotten so dry over there because of the way they were doing their farming that all the dust had gone up into the air and was delivered all over the United States. Yeah, it went on for weeks and it was 3 years in a row. So just think if that was contaminated with radiation, what that would mean. Yes, we shared trade winds with them. Yeah, I know you think the ocean is enough to get rid of it, but it's not. It'll just fly right over the top of the ocean like it ain't even there. And next, wherever it rains, it will rain radioactivity on you. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. I'm safe where I'm at. Y'all can go nuke each other all day long. I'm snuggling a right good little place.
We're safe too, Jay.
Sukhov 27, Joe, looks exactly like an F-15.
Oh, you looked at it. I know, doesn't it? But it's
yeah. Here, hang on, so you can share it. I'll get you this. Let's see if I can get this page. Let me get to it.
I think we're all safe, to be honest with you. Oh, did you hear what Sarah was that governor of Arkansas? Man, she kicked China out of their farm. Did you hear that?
Good. No, but it's cool that she did it. I like Huckabee. She's mean.
Yeah.
Russian S-4 reportedly destroyed, as Moscow says. Antax. They blew up 3 of their missile defense systems. Damn, Ukraine's kicking ass over there.
Yeah,
that's why they're not in the news. That's why they're not in the news.
Zelensky.
Yeah, he knocked out 3 of their S-4 defense systems. Oh man, Russia, he's gonna leave y'all defensive. You better watch it. There's gonna be a big hole in your missile protection shield here pretty soon.
If it isn't there already. Hey Joe, there's a link over there in the private chat. If you click on it, at the top is a list of Russian Air Force fighter jets. And there's not that many. 4, 7. There's 10 of them. 10 different models. If you see the show less, click less, or show more, you can click that. But the Sukhoi SU, or the Sukhov, I think it's pronounced in Russian, in English. 27 looks exactly like the F-15. The 47 looks kind of like a F-104 Starfighter hybrid. I don't know. MiG-25 looks like an F-16.
I'm trying to get them to blow up so I can put the whole picture in.
MiG-29 looks like an F-18. I mean, they're almost all of their planes. It's uncanny. They don't
a lot of this. Well, look at their space shuttle.
When you look at World War II planes, if you look at the English planes versus the American planes, you can tell the difference, even though they're allies. If you look at the German planes versus the Russian planes, you can tell the difference. They have different shapes to them. These things look identical to the stuff we're flying. See, that looks like it looks like the Firefox.
Yeah, but without this and this, yeah, I know. Without these 2 fins, it would look like the F-18.
Yeah, those 2 chines. Yeah.
Well, people, we don't make the Russians do that. The Russians do whatever the hell they want. That's their planes. See, this is what we were just talking about.
Yeah, F-16 right there.
It's these Russia always did like twin engine, twin tail planes. At least when we started doing them, they did.
Yeah.
No, the Phantom was a single tail. I'm sorry.
Yeah, F-4 Phantom has one One
You
set
think
of fins back there.
you
What
think of the
is their
Tomcat?
what is their best plane they got right now?
This one right here.
The 47, and probably I said the MiG-31 is probably the next one down from that.
That's their top of the art, state of the art, beastified
Yeah.
plane that they have right here.
You look at the forward-facing rear wings, chines in the middle. It's got a chine coming from the cockpit and then going into two wider chines. Is that two fins on top or is that one?
It's hard to tell from here.
Looks like it's two angled fins, so that might be like a Firefox F-16, F-22, bastard child hybrid.
Wait a minute. Number built 1.
Really?
That
So it's
is.
experimental.
Just
No,
one.
it said canceled.
Oh. Well, I mean, look at it. Is it a night ops plane with a white nose cone? I mean, it would be the first thing shot out of the sky at night.
It says canceled. Wow, they canceled it.
They
See,
probably
Rush, that's-
didn't. They didn't have the money to do it.
Well, they probably didn't. Now this is sleek. This is a MiG-31. This is a beast of a plane. It's not really stealthy. If you look at
No.
it, it's basically a souped up F-14 is basically what it is. F-15
Yeah.
really, because it's
Is it carrier based or land only?
well, that's why I said F-15. You notice it's got solid wings. Well, people,
Yeah.
real difference between an Eagle and a Tomcat is the Tomcat's wings sweep because it's on board an aircraft carrier, and the F-15s are don't. The F-15 belongs to the Air Force.
Well, and then
F-14
also doesn't the
belongs to
15
Navy.
don't they also rotate up to go on carriers? Because I don't think the F-14 is carrier based.
Yeah, the F-14 is carrier based. That's a Tomcat.
Oh, it is.
It's carrier based. The F-15's not. That's the Eagle. The F-15's the Eagle. That's the Air Force
Gotcha.
version.
Yeah,
And
I
the
knew one was,
F-14's
one
not.
wasn't. It's so hard to remember.
Well, there's two things that distinctive about the Tomcat. It's the only real jet, even today, that goes straight ballistic without stalling. The 35s are getting there, but the 35s actually have to use vectored thrust to get there. The Tomcat, what it did is it would turn itself up and just punch it, and then it would roll its wings in. It would sweep its wings in manually, by the way, and it would go what they call ballistic. It just looked like a ballistic missile going straight up into space.
Yeah.
And it could go into space. Of course, if it did, it would die because it couldn't control anything. But
there's a couple of cool videos of them doing that maneuver, and they do it. The film is from when the plane pulls the maneuver. You see the undercarriage of the plane, and when it does this maneuver, after the wings fold back, it breaks the sound barrier. You see the cloud of smoke from where it breaks the sound barrier go around the bottom of the plane. It is super cool footage.
Yeah, and there you go, guys. That's the 34.
Sukhov 34.
It looks
First
like an
fluid
awkward
90s.
plane. It looks awkward with all this crap.
Yeah,
on
I
it,
mean,
yeah.
look at that.
I don't know. Y'all better keep that thing on the
And
ground.
It's blue. So is this a carrier based Navy plane?
I
They
don't
only
know.
have one carrier, don't they?
Well, look at the
Actually,
camo
they
on
don't
top.
have any carriers now. They don't have any
Look at the
carriers.
camo on top. That's ocean camo. So that's for if you fly above it,
Yeah,
you think
this
it's
is
in part of
definitely-
the ocean.
This is definitely ocean camo here.
Yeah, that's Navy carrier based.
But they don't have no carriers anymore. So
Well, they can still land on the ground. They don't have to
no, I'm just saying.
operate on a carrier.
And so China's got 2. Russia might still have 1, but I think they're retiring the one they have.
Well, are they still floating 17s? Jesus Christ, we were knocking those out of the air in the 80s.
Look at this little beast, man. This little
Guess what that looks like?
Now we had a plane that looks
F-89
just like
Saberjet.
this. Yeah, we had one look just like this. So many Russian planes.
F-89 and F-90 Saberjets. Guarantee you that's where they got that.
Well, we just updated the Ukraine war. We've seen that Russia has made some progress, but the Ukrainians are trying to blow up. Well, according to the Germans, the Ukrainians are trying to blow up a nuclear power base and crush Russia. It's Krusk.
Krusk, Russia.
Yes, he says it with the Russian accent. Krusk.
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 I know one thing, guys, and I'm going to tell you right now: if we ever get into a game where it has to deal with war, I'm going to go on Jay's side. All right, I'm going to just sit back and let Jay and Joe take care of all the, all kinds of other stuff. I'll just sit here and I'll be like, okay, go ahead, do it.
Yeah, it's
funny.
It's too bad we're not more famous. Maybe me and Joe could scare the rest of the planet into calming down and stopping all their conflict.
They need.
We're not mean, but
in the end, I mean,
We'll get the job done.
In the end, the world just needs to ban communism. The UN just needs to one day say, okay, you know what? Communism is illegal in the world, and we're going to do away with it. So you can either change your government or we're going to change it for you. China might
But have we
buck
done
in.
that with any other? We didn't do that with Nazism. We didn't ban it. I mean, I don't think we.
Well, it's
could.
kind of banned. It's kind of banned.
I mean, Germany like banned the whole. I mean, you can't have like World War II memorabilia.
Think about it. Germany was banned itself until just recently. So was Japan, for that matter. Yeah.
Well,
so
okay. Well,
so at the
50 years ago, they probably were. Yeah. So I'll give you that.
So at the Treaty of Versailles, both China, Japan, and Russia surrendered unconditionally to the United States. That means they weren't even governments. Yeah, people, you got to know that, did you?
No,
until just recently, they weren't even allowed to have a military until just recently. The United States said, "Okay, we're going to go back and let y'all. We should learn lessons after World War I and World War II, you fucking Nazis. But we're going to go ahead and go ahead and try to trust y'all, not to try to take Europe over again."
I think we're pretty good with Japan. I mean, Japan is the size of New Jersey or smaller.
Michigan, Japan, like they took over America. What are you talking about?
They did not. They didn't even come. When did they step? They stepped 0 feet on actual American soil.
They sunk an entire fleet. I mean,
Pearl Harbor.
Wiped out all the planes.
They sucker punched a bunch of people in their beds at 7 a.m. and blew up a bunch of boats on the shore.
Plus, they were hurting us in the South. They were hurting
cheating.
us.
Even by the treaties of Versailles and other
until,
war pacts
until the Battle of Midway.
That's cheating.
Until the Battle of Midway, we were getting our asses kicked everywhere we went. And finally, we got the carrier groups together. And we got lucky, by the way. Just put y'all to know, ladies. Midway was a strange little thing.
Midway was 100% luck.
Yeah, we could have went either way.
100.
The they call them strawberries. They were just their planes out looking around. Is what they're doing.
The PBYs, the pontoon boats.
One guy got lucky. We seen them before they seen us, which means we got our planes off first, and we caught a lot of their planes on their deck. So it was.
But the only problem was that on top of that, after that guy said he saw the Russian or the Japanese fleet, he was so excited. All he said was he's seen a main body of Japanese fleet, but he gave no direction. So they had to guess from his call letters where his patrol route was, where his flight path was, where he was supposed to be, where he should be, where he could have been. And they had to guess when they sent the planes out. So there's 5 or 6 squadrons out there looking for this same group. And they were almost all of these squadrons were at the end of their no return. They have a PNR, point of no return, where they have to turn around or they're going to sink their plane. So they have only so much gas to go out and come back. Yeah. They were at that point when the first group saw the Japanese boats, and then all hell broke loose. But most of those planes did not return because they were at the end of their gas run. And they had some of them expended some of their ammunition before they got into attack range. They had some new electronic devices to arm the bombs and missiles and weapon systems on their planes. And when they turned those on, the bombs fell off way before they got to the fleet. So they had no weapons. They had very little fuel left. They barely got the job done, and half of our planes never came back.
And think about it, so this is what you get, people. So most of our planes were still carrier based. So we send these out, they find us. So we start launching planes after that, just plane after plane. So by the time the Japanese knew what was happening, all of our planes were in the air, but not all of theirs were. So we got lucky. 2 of their carriers
on the deck with ordnance attached to them.
2 of their carriers, we got lucky, caught them with their britches down, just tore the decks off their boats. But even with that, they still managed to blow the entire deck off of the Yorktown. Didn't sink it, but blew the entire deck off the Yorktown, which was a carrier.
They actually brought the Yorktown up from the Battle of Coral Sea, which was a few days or like a week or so, or 10, 12 days earlier. And the Japanese had already thought the Yorktown was sunk because the Navy, the U.S. Navy, had called out that it was done. They were probably going to scuttle it, and the Yorktown was done. But somehow they managed to salvage it, but they didn't tell anybody. And 5-6 days after they found out in Pearl Harbor that they were going to attack Midway, this boat shows up out of the clear blue sky. They give them 72 hours to patch the holes in it, and it
Yep,
went
it's
back
not
to that
long-term
battle. So
jets.
this ship was almost sunk 3 times, and they
And
finally
the, and
sunk
the
it at the
funny
end of
part
Midway
about
with
it,
the rescue one.
the majority of its planes survived. They just had to land on different carriers. It's
Or on Midway.
yeah.
And then we also because when they brought it into Pearl, most of its planes they offloaded onto the land-based airfields, and they sent most of the squadrons from Yorktown to Midway. So Midway was overpacked with fighter planes. They sent like 8 or 9 squadrons in the days
But
before
it also
the actual
shows you
attack.
something. No ship of the Japanese ever got close enough to one of our carriers to do damage. Only thing
Never
that could
even
get
saw 'em.
close to our carriers was their planes. And trust me,
Yep.
we were shooting them down, and they were destroyers and all pulling in front of the carrier to take the hits. I mean, they
And
were just it was
here's
insane what
another
they were doing
interesting
keeping
thing,
carriers safe.
Joe. This is very cool. I don't think people know this, but one of the commanders of the fighter bombers, McConnell, I don't remember his last name. 1 or 2 of the fighters from his squadron, the ones particularly who dropped their bombs by mistake before they got into weapons range, he was the first kamikaze. Because he actually strafed and tried to dive bomb the ship, and not lengthwise, which would be a little easier, but broadside, where all their anti-aircraft guns are focused. And he died, but his plane hit the craft he was attacking and caused even more damage and helped it go down. So the first kamikaze attack of World War II, we did it.
Yes, it was. It was.
I never seen you like this, Jay.
It's
Yeah,
insane,
I've studied
man.
Midway extensively, Sean, extensively.
Yeah, Midway World War II was one of my favorite things when I was young. But
Yeah,
Midway was
the
the
Pacific
turning
Theater
point.
for me, but I know both sides fairly well. I'm not an expert, but it's fascinating stuff.
After Midway, the Japanese were on their back foot the rest of the time. Even though we
They were
lost
backpedaling
massive
all the
amounts
way
we lost
until-
massive amounts of troops, massive amounts of planes.
when did the battleship Yamato get sunk? It was like right before the end. It was one of the very last things. Solomon's maybe just
We lost
decimated.
a lot of people taking them islands back, man.
They lost their number 1 admiral at Midway. They lost they lost their 2 major carriers and 2 smaller carriers.
Yep.
Plus they lost 7 or 8 or 9. I think the total was like 15, 16 ships they lost altogether. So a lot of smaller, like, the tender ships and things that are, the ones that are slow that they can catch up to.
For Pearl Harbor is what it was, but
Yeah.
And then
It was basically payback for Pearl Harbor, no question. Absolutely no question.
Doolittle and then after that, Doolittle and their boys got together and put Air Force bombers on a carrier and sailed them across.
Doolittle's before this.
I
think Doolittle's before this.
He might have been.
Doolittle's June. I think Doolittle happens in June.
No, I think you're right. I think he was before.
And I think part of the reason for them going after Midway was the fact that they were 100% certain that there's no way we could do a bombing raid on Japan's homeland, and then we did it, and then Midway happened. So
it was
all that stuff
interesting
ties in.
But Japan had to get work. Once we struck Japan's homeland, it had to bother them. But then we lost all of those planes and half those pilots. But who saved their asses was the Chinese.
Guangdong province is where most of Doolittle's guys who made it got to.
Yeah, and the Chinese saved them. So it's just
really? They were believe it or not, they were our allies.
They were
in World War II. Yeah, we had troops in Guangdong, and what's the other big territory right behind it? It's like the middle of China. We had I don't know if they're Air Force bases or Army bases, definitely, to help protect them throughout the war. And then I don't think they were ever taken over by either Russia or anyone else.
Japan conquered them to an extent because there was
they never got into Guangdong. They got into Manchuria, which they renamed Manchukuo.
They took a lot of provinces because they were getting
along the shore. Yeah, they did
along the shore.
Guangdong's centrally located. It's way in the middle of the country.
But the reason they were winning was there was no fighting on the land. So what happened was every time the Japanese would land, they were offering food for guns, basically. So the Japanese were offering bowls of rice for your guns. The Chinese hadn't eaten in weeks. Some hadn't eaten months. So they were trading and of course they were being put in prison after that. But they took a lot of territory right there, or put to work, yeah.